Hey game designers, in this video we're going to cover how to model a statute, a humanoid statute. So again, if you follow along this video and you make your own humanoid statute, it will meet one of the element requirements for Module 5, and you can turn it in as your humanoid model for Module 3. So this is kind of like two birds with one stone here. So here's a good opportunity for you guys to catch up and make up some of that grade in the college course as well as our course. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, Again, I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this and start from scratch. Let's go ahead and take a look at my model using the edit window and kind of see how we are doing this here. Again, I want this to be very low poly because I know a lot of you are using Vectory, so your performance will be an issue. But you can see that it's relatively low poly, did not take many faces at all. Um, Instead of taking one whole week like we did in class with Homer or the other humanoid, this should be able to be done in maybe an hour or two at most. And I'm giving you the whole week to go ahead and model this humanoid. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at it one more time, kind of see from different views. Relatively simple humanoid. I just put a little box on top to put him as a statute. And let's go ahead and, I textured it, but let's go ahead and delete everything and start from scratch. All right, so let's go ahead first with finding a reference. You can just go to Google. That's where I always go. I'm just going to type in low poly human. And, I'm going to go look in the image tab and look at all the different humans you can make. And I just looked for something simple. Again, you don't have to follow the image exactly, but it's always nice to have a reference. And I just use this little poly over here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, right click, and then save image as. It's going to save onto my desktop. I'm just going to save it as a low poly model. I'm going to go back to Vectory. I'm going to go ahead and import it. And you just import wherever you saved it. I saved it on my desktop. You guys will probably save it on your My Files. So here is our reference. I'm just going to go ahead and rotate it up. If you hold Shift, it will snap it in angles. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull it back here. Okay, so we have that reference there. And if you look at the reference, there are a few triangles here, and I'm going to try to avoid using triangles because, just for practice sake, I wanted you guys to try to leave it as polygons so that all the tools would work on it and it won't be a problem if we ever decide to animate it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and start out with usually we start out with a sphere for a head, but since it's low poly, we're going to start with a box. Okay, so we're going to start with a box with 2x2 segments. So that means it only has 4 sides on each side of the cube, and we're going to start with the head. Okay, so let's go ahead and move it up a little bit here, and we can go ahead and scale it down because chances are we're not going to need it this big, something like that. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and start going. So let's go ahead and go to edit mode. Again, the sad part about Vectory is that we can't leave things as faces. So I mean, you can't leave images as references. So we're gonna have to kind of go back and forth if we want to kind of see our reference. So the first thing we're gonna say is that this doesn't look spherical enough. Let's go ahead and change that. So what I want you guys to do is go ahead and click on the, so make sure that you guys have the same orientation as me. Right here it says front, right here. So here is to the right, here's to the left. So this is where the humanoid is facing toward the front. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on the, 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 the biggest outer rim, which is the one going to be in the middle. You're going to double click this. You're going to click on loop selection. It should select the loop on the inside. Go ahead and hit twice, enter twice. And we're going to make this a sphere, right? So if you know how many points there are here, there are 8 points here with 4 faces. And I'm going to click on make a circle. Okay, it's going to make it into a circle. You're going to hit enter. And now that it's a circle, we can go ahead and expand it, right? So here's the face. Faces are usually ovalish, not circular. So let's go ahead and elongate the face a little bit. Um, Something like that. Okay. We'll do the same thing with the other two rings. So I'm going to double click on this edge ring here, click on the loop selection, and if it doesn't work, you could drag it and see if it selects the entire loop. Nope, doesn't do it. See, sometimes when the loop gets to the outside, it doesn't recognize it as a loop anymore. So there's another way you can do this. Just go ahead and click on Face tool. Just click on this face, double click on this face, and you can click on Select Planar, and it selects the entire plane. So that's a more accurate way of selecting that same edge loop. Go ahead and hit Enter, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click on Make Circle. So it makes a circular front. Hit Enter. And now we're going to go ahead and expand it here to make a face. And it's probably going to be roughly the same diameters as the front. Okay, maybe a little bit less. Let's go ahead and stretch it out a little bit like that. Okay. All right. Maybe a little bit smaller. Maybe we can do it a little bit smaller. Give it a little bit of a face there. And we'll pull up the chin and stuff like that later. Let's go and do the back. Same thing. Let's go ahead and uh, click on the edge here, or just go and click on the face. It's easier. Double click on one of the faces. It will pop up the selection box here. I'm going to click on Select Planar, hit Enter. We're going to also make this a circle. Okay. And the back of the heads are usually a little bit more roundish in the back. So we're going to go ahead and hit Enter. So now we have our widgets. We're going to move it a little bit more back. We're going to scale it up. Okay. Scale it up. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just grab the vertex in the middle and just pull that out a little bit here. And the back of our heads are usually a little bit higher, I think. I don't know whatever reason it looks like, but somewhere around there, right? And the front of the face, let's go ahead and move it up a little bit. Usually the part that sticks out the most is probably your upper ear, so somewhere around here. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to click on this edge loop right here. And I got the entire edge loop, which is good. And I'm just going to go ahead and move it up a little bit, kind of square it out like that so it looks like ears, right? Somewhere around there. And I'm going to grab the vertex in the front. Usually the most pointed part of our face is somewhere around our nose. So something like that, right? Something simple, okay? So let's go ahead and work on the chin a little bit here. So I'm just going to grab this vertex, pull it up a little bit, right? Give us a little bit of a chin. Maybe pull this up a little bit, okay? Maybe pull this one down a little bit. Maybe I'm going to pull all three down here. Grab this, hit Shift here, and hit Shift there. And pull down all three, kind of create a bigger back of the head. Okay, maybe this one's a little bit too high. Again, when we get to humanoids, it's always very subjective about how it looks. We don't have a reference like we did in Maya to really pinpoint what we want, but this is good enough. Okay, so here's my head, right? Simple enough, and we're gonna move on. So now that we have the head, let's go ahead and start making the neck. So down here, if you look at the bottom of the head, there's four faces. We're gonna use these two and make a neck. So I'm going to left click one of them, shift click the other, and I'm going to extrude. So I'm going to hold shift and extrude down. Creates a little bit of a neck there. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and hold shift again and kind of create kind of a shoulder blade. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and scale that one a little bit wider to kind of create the neck. Okay. So let's go ahead, get it a little bit wider right there. Okay. And let's go ahead and kind of scale it out a little bit thicker because you can see right here it's kind of thin on the side. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click back on the faces on the bottom. And we're going to go ahead and scale out this way. Okay. Maybe we'll grab this edge loop again. Hopefully we can still have access to the edge loop. Just double click on this edge. go to loop selection. It looks like we still have a good loop edge there. And go ahead and hit enter. And we're going to go ahead and expand that a little bit. Give it a little bit of thickness to this neck here. Okay. We can fix the back vertices a little bit later. So we kind of got a little bit of a neck going on. Let's go ahead and hit Control A to select all of it and kind of scale it down because we're kind of getting too big here. Let's kind of scale it down there. Okay, so we have more room to work with here. All right, so let's start talking about the torso. So let's go ahead and look back at our reference real quickly. So I'm not using the reference to, to use to kind of see exactly where I'm going to do things. I just want to see how many sections I need. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to need a section for the upper chest, one for the mid chest, one for the abdomen, and then everything else is crotch and below. So it gives me an idea of how many sections I want to use. Um, I'm thinking I'm going to use just one extra section than them. They use 3 sections. I think I'm going to use 4 because I want to make the arms um, maybe a little bit more detailed than using some of these triangles here. So, but also you want to understand how long it is, right? How long your torso is. So if you think about the head right here and you figure out if I copy this head and put it underneath here, that it would be right here, and another head would be around here, and like maybe 3/4 of a head would be down here. So basically is your head, it's about, or your torso is about 2.5 to 2 3/4 of your head length. So that kind of gives me an idea of how many sections I want to make for my torso. All right, so let's go ahead and go back here. So let's go ahead and go back to the face tool. Let's go ahead and select on the faces down here. Okay, I'm going to hold shift and pull down to extrude. So I'm going to extrude one for kind of like where my arms are going to stick out. So somewhere around there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make one for my chest, my mid chest right here. Okay, and it's about the length of my head. Yep. And now I'm going to make one for my middle abdominal here, somewhere around there. And then maybe another section for my abdominal here. And then one more section for the crotch areas and hips and down there. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the side and actually let's fix this first. Okay. So let's go ahead and click on some edge loops now and go ahead and make some of this stuff wider. Um, let's go ahead and extrude actually the shoulders first, and we'll come back to the torso. So let's go ahead and make the shoulder part. All we're going to do is grab this face, and this point on, everyone, actually, let's go ahead and make the waist first. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to edge loop here. I'm going to double click and then go to loop select and just make sure and confirm that I have the entire loop selected. Go ahead and hit enter. And we're going to wind this out a little bit here. All right, kind of create a middle chest. I'm going to kind of look over to the back and we look like too skinny over here. So we'll go ahead and grab this, kind of scale it out here, something like that. Okay. We're gonna grab the next edge loop here, double click, then go ahead and click on loop select. Oops, I didn't click on loop select, did I? Click on loop select, hit enter twice. Make sure again that I selected the entire loop. Let's stretch it out a little bit like that. And obviously a lot more like around there. Maybe a little bit more like that. Give it a little more thickness here. We can decide to stretch this whole thing out a little bit more if we want. Yeah, maybe we could. Let's go ahead and stretch the whole thing out. Hit Control A and just stretch the whole thing out because I think I'm a little bit too narrow. Something like that. Okay, much better. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's click on the next edge loop here. Double click on this edge loop. Kind of look over to the side, see how thick we want it. We're gonna start our way down, something like that. Okay, and so what is this? This is our upper chest. This is our mid abdomen. This is our lower abdomen. Let's go ahead and grab this edge loop here. Go to double click, go to loop select, hit enter twice. Kind of tug in a little bit here, and then kind of go over to the side. Extend it out a little bit here. Something like that. And then our hips, that looks good. Our hips are kind of a little bit wider than our waist. So that looks good there. Okay, everything looks good there. Our back, maybe our back is a little bit more higher. If you want to get a little bit, coming like that, put it in a little bit, kind of make it look like we have shoulder blades. Okay, and there's our torso, right? Pretty easy, nothing too complicated so far. Let's go ahead and make our shoulders. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this face, and from this point on, actually, we're not going to worry about the left side. We're just going to do it on the right side, because ultimately we're going to cut the left side out, and we're going to mirror it so that we don't have to do twice the work. Because inside of Vectory, we don't have symmetry tools where we make the right and the left gets built. So we're just going to make the right side, and the left side will mirror the right side. So again, we don't have to worry about both sides. So let's go ahead and work on this face right here. So what I want you guys to do is just go ahead and extrude out. So we're just going to hold shift and pull out and make a little shoulder blade right there. Okay. So this is going to be our shoulder blade here. Let's go ahead and change this edge loop because it kind of looks too square, right? So we're going to grab this edge right here and kind of snap using Alt and moving our camera. We're going to snap the tool, and we're just going to move it in and make it look like a shoulder blade right there. Okay. So this is going to be our shoulder blade, but if I extrude this face, it's going to not look very circular because we only have 4 points here. This face only has 4 vertices. So if I extrude this, it's not going to look much like a circle at all, right? So here's this face. If I extrude it, it's going to look like a square rectangular arm. So let's go ahead. We need to add more subdivisions. So what I want you to do is snap your camera to the side view. So just snap it and hold Alt and it will snap. And we're actually going to make a cut that goes down here. Okay, so that this one face will become 2 faces. And if we keep our quads, it should be fine. So again, I'm just going to use the cut tool right here. We're going to go to here, go to the cut tool, and we're just going to try to cut perpendicularly down. Okay, so we're just going to go down, and if you hold shift, it should snap. So we're going to try to do a nice vertical cut. And I don't know what happened because sometimes this cut tool doesn't work. That didn't work. Let's try it again. Go to our cut tool. We're going to go here, hold shift, and snap it here. And that didn't do it either. Let's try again. Sometimes our snap tools might be the problem. Let's go and look at our snap tools and see what we're snapping to. Snap middle, snap in, snap near, snap face. Huh. Okay, let's try it again. Cut tool. I'm going to kind of start here in the middle. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so I didn't hold shift and it worked that time. Okay, so I created this cut that cuts vertically across the entire model. So you can see right here that it cut across the entire model and separated all those faces into 2 faces. And now that I have 2 faces, we can talk about circularizing. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter to finish my cut. Let's go ahead and click on this face and click on this face. And now I can use the circle tool, and now I can create a circular armhole. Okay, so you can see here that it's 2 faces or have 6 vertices, and that makes a hexagon. Let's go ahead and hit enter, and we're going to go ahead and expand this armpit out a little bit, something like that, right? So now we got a hexagon that it's more circular so that when we extrude, it's going to look a little bit more realistic. Okay. So again, don't worry about the left side. We'll just copy it over later. Okay. So let's go ahead and extrude. So I'm going to hold shift and pull the diagonal arrow down and try to just make the top of the bicep area arm. Okay. We're going to go around here, just kind of have it hanging down. Let's go ahead and scale it down because this is way too big. Something like that, right? And that looks good. Let's go ahead and do another extrude. So let's go ahead and hold shift and extrude down to make the other part. So your forearm is a little bit longer than the top of your arm. So let's make it a little bit longer. Something like that. Okay, and let's go ahead and use the scale tool to scale it down even more because this is our wrist here. And let's go ahead and make a fist. So a fist, we're just going to extrude twice. we're going to kind of extrude diagonal out, then diagonal in. So just go ahead and hold shift again to extrude. Use the diagonal arrow. Okay, something like that. Okay, and we're gonna expand it out. Oops, I'm holding shift. Don't hold shift. Expand it out a little bit to kind of create the kind of knuckle, thumb, and knuckle part here. And just kind of drag it down a little bit here because our thumb is a little bit further up than our knuckle. So we kind of go up like there. Now I'm gonna hold shift and extrude one more time, kind of down here. And I'm gonna kind of scale it down, kind of like that. And there we have it. A very simple fist arm. Okay. And that's it. That's kind of finishes our arm. Again, we're going to copy and merge it to the other side later. Don't worry about the left side. We're going to go ahead and work on the waist. Okay, so down to the waist. So looking at the bottom, I have two faces here and two faces here, but I need an area for the crotch. So what I'm thinking is that I should make a cut that goes down here, down the shoulder blade, kind of down, so that I have a nice two faces I could use to make my legs. Because if I extrude these two legs, it will look very square. And if I circlize these two, well, then where's the crotch area, right? So we're gonna go ahead and make a cut that goes from kind of the shoulder down to here. So I'm gonna snap my view to the front view here by holding Alt and clicking, getting a good view over here. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the multi-cut tool, or the cut tool, and just use that collapse. Oops, Control Z that. Where's my cut tool? There it is. Cut tool. And I'm just going to try to cut from here, kind of diagonal down like that. Okay. Nope, that didn't work. Again, I don't know why this cut tool is not always the easiest to use. Something like that. Okay, there you have it. Go ahead and enter. And now we created this cut here. So now we have two faces we can use to make our um, our crotch area, and then we have two faces that we could make our uh, our legs. So we're gonna grab the two outer ones to make it. Grab the two outer faces, so here and here, and we're gonna circleize to turn it into a hexagon, right? We're gonna hit enter to finish the circleize. We're gonna go ahead and let's just move it a little bit to the left here. Then we're gonna scale outward. Kind of look at it from the view now. We can move it down a little bit, right? And that creates the crotch. Okay, something like that. Okay, that looks good. And again, don't worry about the left side. We're going to cut the left side and mirror the right side. So this looks like a good crotch area and got a hexagon leg. Again, very low poly. Let's kind of move it a little bit here because your hips kind of go outward and your thighs kind of go outward here. Okay, oops, don't do that. So yeah, make sure you don't keep holding shift. I get the habit of holding shift all the time, and that creates extrusions. So okay, so now we got the leg. Let's go ahead and make the leg. So since we're making low poly, um, let's go ahead and if you want to hit A, that would center your camera. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and snap my view to the front view again. So your legs are pretty long. They're about longer than your torso and a little bit of your head. Not quite 50%, but you know, like from here to here is about how long your legs are. So I'm only going to create two sections for the legs. I'm just going to go hold shift to extrude and use the diagonal one and just extrude it out. So this is kind of like your hammy string here. So somewhere right here. Of course, if you want to add more edge loops to add more detail, you're welcome to. Again, I'm trying to keep it very low poly here. So I got it down to here. And what I'm going to do is actually going to angle it a little bit more straight, more flat, because I'm going to end up, creating one more extrusion. So I'm going to extrude one more time. Something like that. A little bit like that. Okay. And I'm going to kind of taper it down a little bit. And Let's kind of rotate the face. So if you hit Alt, you can, and if you hit Shift, you can shift in 15% increments here. Um, Make sure you don't hold Shift when you click the drag. It's once you left click the rotation, then hold Shift, and it will snap to degrees. Okay. What you can also do is take the scale tool and scale down all the way down, and it should make it flat. Okay. So that looks about as flat as I'm going to get. Okay. And let's go ahead and extrude and make extrude one more time to make kind of like the heel of the foot. So I'm just going to hold Shift, and I'm just going to pull the down arrow here. Oh, I forgot to look at the side view a little bit. I should fix some of the side view things, but we'll worry about that later. Okay. All right. So now we got our feet, our heel. So I'm just going to grab all three faces to make the foot. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Face Tool, go on this face, go to this face, and go to this face. And I'm going to go ahead and hold a Shift to pull forward. Okay. And now I have these three faces. I'm just going to scale down a little bit to kind of create a foot. Okay. Let's see any other fixes we need. Probably need to fix the behind a little bit. Um, we have, uh, you know, a butt. So let's go ahead and try to create just some vertice here. Grab this one and probably uh, not many vertices to work with here. So let's try to grab those. Okay. Oh, that's definitely not right. Let's pull that one in a little bit. That one didn't look right. This is the problem you run into when you don't have a lot of vertices. Ideally, I want to have a vertice right here, and right here I can pull, but we're low poly. So let's gonna maybe pull in and try to create it look like it's, nope, not in. Yeah. Let's try to create, there we go. Maybe that's enough. Okay, just enough to have an appearance of a buttocks. Okay. Okay, so we're basically done with our model. So we're just going to go ahead and cut out this half, and then we're going to duplicate the right side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to cut out the faces on the left and duplicate the right side to the left side. So what we'll do is we're going to go to the face tool here, and I'm going to snap my camera because this is kind of important when you're cutting. So I'm going to snap my camera. And again, the way that Vectory does selections, nope, snap my camera. You have to go to the marquee tool, select here, go to marquee tool. You have the marquee tool select all the faces to the left. So basically, the face has to be completely clicked and overlapped entirely in your marquee box to be selected. So I selected all of these faces on the left. I'm going to hit delete. Okay. So basically, all the faces on the left are deleted. Now I'm going to go ahead and mirror this to the right side. So right now, you're going to hit Control. I'm going to actually go to the object mode. So instead of the edit window, we're going to go to the object window here. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and go to the generate tool. And there's a symmetry tool. I'm going to click on symmetry. And voila. It already selects the plane, the X plane, which is this one right here. And it's going to cut from here and mirror it over here. And now we have a left side that matches the right side. So once you are done with the symmetry, you're going to go ahead and right click it and go convert to geometry. So now you're going to have two parts. You're going to have a left part and a right part, right? And we don't want that because we don't want it as two halves. We want to merge it as one mesh. So we're going to click on this, shift click on this. Okay, so we got both of these selected. We're going to right click and we're going to merge them together. Okay, so let's go back to the edit window now. So in the edit window, we can kind of see what's going on. And you can see right here that there's this kind of red line. And that's basically where we mirror the right side to the left side. And here's a problem about mirroring. When it mirrors, right, well, these points that were on the x-axis or the x-plane, it's basically, it's technically the xz plane. The xz plane, it copies this point and then duplicates it to the other side, but it's going to be in exactly the same location. So let me show you what I mean. If I click on this vertex right here and I move it, it only moves one side because I have another vertex that's just on top of each other. So basically we need to merge these. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. Okay. So we're going to go to the selection tool. We're going to kind of snap our camera to the front view again. Okay. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the marquee tool. We'll go here, go to marquee tool or M for hotkey. We're going to select all these points in the middle, right? And we're going to go to not collapse, mesh tools, and we're going to weld them together. Okay. So when you left click on weld, it's going to give you like this 0. It's telling you how far apart do you want me to merge points. So we should use something like a very small number and it should work. So let's just say if the points are within 0.27 of each other or whatever, 0.25, hit enter. Any point that is within 0.27 of each other will get merged. So let's go ahead and double check our work. So basically all these points should have been overlapping each other. So they're basically on top of one another. But let's go ahead and double check our work. So if I grab this point now, does it move the entire face? And the answer is yes. Okay. So that works. So now all of our things is connected. We kept, good topology. Everything's in quads. We have a statute now that we could use. Okay. Again, you can work on the proportionate a little bit if you want to do some last finishing touches, like maybe my waist is too big. Like that's an edge loop. So you could, scale it down a little bit, some final touches to kind of make it look a little bit more humanoid. Um, you know, and I don't want to get too crazy. Again, this is just kind of your, you know, your model. You can kind of do what you want with it. Uh, okay. All right. So let's go ahead and just create the box on the bottom here. That's a simple, easy here. I'm just go to the box. I'm going to go ahead and rename this now. Uh, double click, rename it. Let's call it statue. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and make a little box for it to stand on, because what statue does not have a box that is a base that stands on it? So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to scale it down, make it a little wider, and then go ahead and drag it down. Check my side view here. Okay, something like that. Maybe a little bit thicker like that. Okay, I'm going to call this the base. Double click this, name it the base, statue base, or base of statue. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to teach you how to do is kind of how to turn it into a statue. Right? This is just kind of a really, a manly guy looking in. But let's say he want to do a sign and do like victory. So I'm going to show you that real quickly, and that will end our video. Okay, so I'm going to go into the statute again. I'm going to go to edit mode. So here's the thing about why we had to create inside our higher poly model, those extra sections for rigging and animation, is that if you rotate and animate this or try to animate it, it's not going to work because it doesn't have enough sections to create twists and turns. So let me show you what I mean. So let's say I want to turn this arm up to kind of say like victory or like power to the people or something like that, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and use the marquee tool here. Go to select the face tool, go to marquee, and let's say I want to take this left arm, or technically it's his right arm, but my left side, and I want to rotate it to make it kind of go upward. So I'm gonna rotate it up, okay? So it's fine. Right now it looks like, okay, I'm rotating the arms, I'm moving it up, okay? So this arm looks good, but what doesn't look good? It's all these internal faces right here, right? All these internal faces are all twisted up because basically what was attached to the bottom of the arm is now attached to the top of the arm and it's attaching to the bottom of the body. So that's not what we want. So hit Control Z, Control Z. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and extrude and delete the faces and then bridge them later together. Okay. So again, just for the purposes of making our statue kind of pose a little bit, I'm going to left click, shift left click this, shift left click this, shift left click this. Oops. Uh, Move my camera, shift left click this. So I got the whole arm right now selected, and I'm just going to extrude. So I'm just going to hold shift, extrude it out a little bit here. Okay, so I created these new faces, which is where it's attached to the shoulder, and I'm just going to go ahead and manually delete all these faces. So I'm going to hit delete, 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 and delete. Click on my face tool here, click here, delete. So basically I detached the arm from the body, and I'm going to go ahead and now use the selection tool and the marquee tool and select all these again. And now I can rotate the arm without twisting anything. So something like that, move it up. Okay, move it, something like that. Okay, kind of look over here and see where I'm at. Got to move it in a little bit. Let's move it up a little bit. So something like that. Let's go ahead and make sure it's not moved out. We can always push it in later. Okay. So now I'm gonna go ahead and merge these, right? Because this, I basically deleted the faces I extruded. So I'm just gonna go ahead and can bridge these together, okay, and weld these points together. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So if you go to right here, there's a collapse tool, right? Collapse tools takes 2 points and puts it together. So I got it lined up now where I can pretty much see where I'm going to make the connections. Just go ahead and start doing that. Let's start at the top. So I'm going to go to vertex mode here, click on this point, hold shift, go to this point, and go ahead and hit the collapse button. And it will basically collapse. Grab this and start here. And if I can grab this point, let's go ahead and grab that point first and grab here because the widget goes to the right. Go ahead and collapse that. And you guys seen this same technique before when we were using Maya, but all modeling tools have very similar features, just some more powerful than others, but it should have the most basic ones. And this is pretty basic, collapsing 2 points together, grabbing this point, up, start to here, grab this point and grab that point and collapse it together. And the last two, take this point and collapse it together. And we have an arm now. Okay. So now if you feel like, some things are a little bit out of proportion going from this side, you can go ahead and change it. So let's say I don't think this shoulder is too big. I'm going to try to click on this edge loop. And again, sometimes edge loops don't work around turns like this. So it looks like I got most of the edge. So I got to shift click this, shift click this. Now I have the edge loop and let's scale it down a little bit here. Okay. And maybe move the arm in a little bit. Okay. Maybe I want to take this edge right here and kind of create it a little more diagonal. I got those two edges selected, pulled down a little bit, all right? So it looks more like an actual arm. And there you have it, guys. Nothing too complicated. I just want to have a pose in case you want to do a pose. If you guys want to go ahead and add swords or something to it, you can add a sword in his hand. You're welcome to do a fixture statue however you like. Again, I just wanted to show you like a quick way to do a low poly model, and you can customize it. I think actually I should have circularized some of this body parts. So maybe I should have taken some of these edge loops and circularized it. Let's go ahead and show you that real quick in case you want to make your model a little bit better than mine. Go ahead and double click on this loop selection. So you have this entire loop selected, hit enter, and you should have just hit circularize. Okay. And then after that, hit enter and go ahead and scale out. Scale out. Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work. How come it didn't work? I should have been. Did I click on collapse or circularize? Make circle. There you go. And then scale it out. Okay. Trying to create a more of a circular neck here. Okay, and then scale it in. And I could have done that with a lot of his body too. Like some of his body looks way too square. So I could have grabbed like that edge loop right there and circularize it and enter, scale it out wide, go to the front, uh, like that a little bit. So yeah, there's a couple things I probably did on my when I was practicing this thing, but forgot to do it now. Circularize the waist a little bit here, pull it out, go to the front, pull it a little forward. Okay. Same thing with the hips, I guess. Double click this, try to get the edge loop. Looks like I got the edge loop. Enter, enter, circularize. Can I give that circular look to it? Okay. And give it a little bit of a waist. Okay. And there you have it. Just, that makes it a little bit more realistic looking. Okay. And again, you can add more edge loops if you want. You add more cuts, add more edge loops. You're welcome to. I just want to keep it low poly so that those of you having performance issues should have no problem making this model on it. So I will see you guys. And you have the whole week to do it. So I'm trying to be linear as possible. This shouldn't take you more than an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at max if you are struggling. But 2 hours at max for 5 days worth of work, pretty reasonable to me. And I will see you guys. Take attendance every day and turn this in by Friday. Okay. So, oh yeah, we didn't finish yet. We need to go ahead and put in the textures. So now we have the base of the statute. Go ahead and hit bake. We have the base of the statute, and we have this here. Let's go ahead and apply materials. Let's go to our object mode here, and let's go to our library. And I think concrete is just fine. So if you go to materials here, and you type in, just go to collections. You can see here under collections, like I think the thing that looks most likely like stone or something is like concrete. Actually, see if we type in stone. I don't know if they have like a stone collection here. Hit enter. Oh yeah, they do. Okay, so we have some stones here. So let's go ahead and I don't know, pick a stone that looks good. Uh, Stone wall, rough stone. I'll go rough stone. See if that renders. And we got rough stone here. And I don't know, let's try, let's try this malachite stone. Let's see if that looks cool and gnarly. No, that does not look cool. Okay, Control Z that. Let's try this one, this dirt stone. This looks like a nice rugged looking stone. Some textures. Yeah, it looks good. I'm gonna actually use that. There we go. Okay. All right, pick whatever one you want. Uh, Dang, that looks kind of weird. But anyway, just pick whatever you want. Finish up your model, and then after that, we'll teach you on Monday just to take a day or two to just rearrange your scene. Because now, after you can finish your statute, you should have literally everything. You have a statute, you have your custom structure like a guillotine, like I did. You have some type of platform like a bridge. You have your own tree. You have rock paths. Um, you have like terrain like water and grass, right? So that's basically everything. So we should be able to put a scene together, and then snapshot it for your Module 5 project. Okay, and I'll see you guys later.